Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Pretty interesting topic for you guys. The topic is, did the former Clipper Montrezl Harrell totally mess himself up by just being totally ungrateful with the Clippers? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you sign up to Dreamerspro Max, a place where you can start basketball discussions, chat live during games, and also make sure you go ahead and click the join button to become a member of our channel. So anyway, yesterday there was a blockbuster trade that happened in the NBA, right? A blockbuster trade. We ended up doing a live. It was totally something that was unplanned. We had no idea. We had no intention of doing that. Then the big news dropped yesterday that the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook. We did about a 50-minute live breaking down that entire trade. I gave you my thoughts on it. I talked about the pros and cons of it. But overall, there seemed to be a lot of excitement in the air, especially around the NBA. I even saw a tweet by Trey Young that said, "They starting already?" Like, damn! I thought like at least we're another week away from this, right? At least till next week. But then these bombshells started to happen. Now we knew that the Lakers were planning on making a move. We've been hearing that Russell Westbrook was going to be one of the potential candidates that they were going after, but I didn't really think they were going to go after him. So when they did, I was a bit surprised. But in all of that, the thing that kind of got lost in the trade, the player that got lost in all of that was Montrezl Harrell. People forget that Montrezl Harrell was the sixth man of the year before he went to the Lakers. And trust me when I say it, Montrezl Harrell at this moment is feeling the crunch. He must be feeling so crunchy right now for what just happened. Seriously, this guy went from being on a championship contending team where he was getting a considerable amount of minutes, won the Sixth Man of the Year award. He went from that to being on a team that barely wanted him and went from being the sixth man to the ninth man of the year. He wasn't even playing. It got so bad that I think at one point Steven Jackson came on TV and said this was when the Lakers were in the playoffs, and they were like, well, why can't Montrezl give us anything? And he said because they have totally ruined his confidence. When you bench a guy for that long, it ruins their confidence. And that's what happened to Montrezl Harrell. And it made me begin to think back. Montrezl Harrell was on the Clippers, a team that actually wanted him, a team that was willing to work with his deficiencies, given the fact that he was an undersized power forward at 6'7", but he was a very hard worker. He had a lot of energy. He was very crafty around the basket, and he could score. And he plays, he plays with a lot of ferocity, and he seems to be a gritty player. They were willing to work with his deficiencies, but for whatever reason, when Kawhi Leonard and Paul George got to the Clippers, Montrezl Harrell just couldn't keep his ego in check. For whatever reason, he felt that he should have gotten the same treatment, or he should have received the same treatment that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were getting, or rather the inverse of that is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard should have been treated the exact same way every other player was treated on that roster. And I thought that was a total fantasy. That was a total fantasy, but to me, that was his first big mistake. That was his first big mistake. And I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the younger sibling that's sitting at the dinner table that's wondering why his older siblings are getting the biggest piece of chicken. They're like, but hold on a second. I thought we're all brothers and sisters. Why do they get to have the biggest pick for? Why do they have to get the biggest piece of meat for? Why does Daddy always talk to them first before he consults with us? I mean, after all, we're all his kids, and you're missing a fundamental aspect that the oldest kids get preferential treatment because number one of their wisdom, their experience, and all of these different things, and that's just the way it goes. But Montrezl Harrell felt like as if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard need to get in line and kind of get with the regime that they had established with the Clippers, forgetting the fact that these were two all-NBA players, and one of them was coming off of an NBA championship and a finals MVP. He forgot all of that and was looking at them like, why are they getting all of this preferential treatment? And I think at one point, Paul George said, in the correct way, he responded, he's like, if you want all of that, get your game up. Take your game to another level. Then you can get your own personal trainer and get all of these perks. But if you don't have that, then stop looking at what I have. This is what comes with this type of clout, these type of accomplishments, this type of game. But it didn't stop there. He just couldn't keep himself in check. It got so bad that when they went into the Orlando bubble, it got so bad that Kawhi Leonard's trainer was accusing Montrezl Harrell of being a double agent. Now, all of you know that Montrezl Harrell is a client of Clutch Sports. So he felt that, this is Kawhi Leonard's trainer I'm talking, he probably felt as if Montrezl, given the fact that he played horrendously in the bubble, go back and look at his numbers, he felt like maybe he was throwing some of those games and he knew that he didn't want to be with the Clippers anymore and he was just trying to help the Lakers. So he just completely underperformed. Probably that's one of the reasons that he ended up calling him a double agent. This is what was being said about him. So at the end of that playoff run, it got so bad that when it became time for the Clippers to re-sign him, the Clippers said, you can just leave. He said, please just take your bags and leave. And where did he end up going to? The Los Angeles Lakers, right down the corridor. Because maybe LeBron James sold him a bag of goods and told him, hey, listen, this is going to be the place for you. And I said this in a video earlier this year and some people got upset with me. But I've noticed this, and I said this before and I'll say it again. It seems that the majority of the players that go and play with LeBron, after they play with him, their legacies or their reputations always seem to get tarnished. Always. I've said this is one of the effects of playing with LeBron. It's not a knock. This is just the reality. I can name the players. Dwayne Wade, nobody even considers him when they're talking about some of the all-time greats because after all, Dwayne Wade, he just an afterthought. He was just there. That's why they don't consider LeBron that Miami Heat to be on a championship team. Chris Bosh, who's Chris Bosh? He was just a dude, just some dude that was a mid-range jump shooter with the Miami Heat. He's a nobody. Kevin Love, before Kevin Love got to the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was a 25-10 guy. The moment he left, he got to the Cavaliers after that, he's a reject. They were blaming him for every single thing that happened with that team. Kyrie Irving, the minute he decided he didn't want to play with LeBron, he became public enemy number one. He turned into a kook. He's ungrateful. All of these different things. Now you can look at Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell was turned into a reject. You think Lonzo Ball, they got there. They had to ship them the hell up out of there. Brandon Ingram, he had to leave. He ended up flourishing in another environment. And now it's Montrezl Harrell. This seems to be kind of a reoccurring theme. I don't know what it is. So now, he went from being the 6th man of the year to the 9th man of the year, and now he's shipped to go play with the Washington Wizards. How do you go from playing with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to being relegated to playing with Kyle Kuzma and Bradley Beal? How does that happen? How do you screw that up? How do you do it? How do you mess that up? You went from being on a championship contender to now you're going to be playing with the Washington Wizards. To me, I just think this is a simple lesson of the grass ain't always greener on the other side. Sometimes you got to swallow your pride. Sometimes you got to look at the glass as half full. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more grateful. And sometimes you got to stop pocket watching and wondering why other people have certain things have certain things that you don't have. And instead focus on the things that you have and look at what you can bring to the table instead of looking at other people and wondering what they can bring to the table. All of this was caused because of that. Patrick Patterson is still on the team. He rarely plays, but they kept him on the team because he's a good locker room guy. And he's always ready when they need him. Montrezl could have still been on that team, but no. You wanted to make waves. Well, now you're going to be making waves in Washington, D.C. with the Washington Wizards. Some people feel like I'm being harsh. No, I really don't think so. Because a lot of this seems self-inflicted. These are my thoughts. So whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.